Hey, we made it.
We wouldn't miss this.
Grab a couple of seats, pull up a chair. You know, pull up a chair. So you can sit on either side. It doesn't really matter.
Grab someone's seat.
We're going to get this on going. It's this is the history of MarsCon. As I remember it, I didn't get a lot of this. I dug a lot of this information up from program books and stuff I remembered, and talked to a few people, and so a lot of the people up here, and I'm going to let y'all introduce yourself for those who do not know them. This is Chuck Ternista, John Damaris, Ivan Clark, Michelle Fraser Page, and there's several other people who are hiding in the background that are very instrumental, and I will bring them up when they get to their names. So let's go ahead and get started. This is the history of MarsCon as where and how did it begin? Well, first of all, you ever thought I want to run a con? Well, there was two young college students decided they wanted to run a science fiction convention, and they found out real quick how difficult it is to do this. And we're going to, with the slideshow, I'm going to follow the path that led to the actual creation of MarsCon, and we'll discover how it was linked actually to another Virginia science fiction convention, and then, of course, how MarsCon almost died several times. How it was revived from certain death, and what happened when we moved to Williamsburg, and finally, how did it actually change from this real small relaxicon to, well, one of the biggest cons on the East Coast right now, so, and getting bigger all the time. So where did it begin? It began with HROSFA, which is the Hampton Roads Science Fiction Association. And here's some pictures. You may not recognize some of those people, but there's, I know you do. There's Philip, there's Steve Pritchard, that's Marcy back, Neil Bates, who was here. There's Bob and Carolyn Snare, and of course the one person that you see, can barely just see, who is unfortunately no longer with us, Debbie Taylor. And of course, see some other pictures. There's a better one of Val and Caroline. You can see these if it was a little closer, but better. But these were scanned actually by Tom Ely, and he posted them up, and I found them. There's several other people there. I think sitting all the way back in the corner is probably Colleen Duran. She was talking, of course, and the reason I say that is the person who's sitting there was Wayne Gertis, and he was known as the, in the early cons as the, what was it, I'm trying to think of it.
Slime beast.
Slime beast, yeah. So he chased all the little young ladies. Now, one of the first things, and although Mary's not here, one of the first things Mary did when they created was she started a liberated cork, and it was from this that I got a lot of this information about the early conventions, because I inherited it, and me and John actually revived it and did it for quite a few years later on. But the information taken from it, and I don't know if you can read it, but it was the founding mother of the Hampton Roads Science Fiction Association was Margaret Cubberley, and she came and met up with Mary Gray, or Mary Tyrell at that time, and their first meeting was held in 1977, April 28th, probably before most of y'all were born. There were 7 initial attendees, and I've always screw up this. What is it? Now, say it for me, Ivan. You probably know better than I do.
Sagacious 7?
Yes, the Sagacious 7. And it was Margaret and Norman Coverly, Ned Brooks, Terry Gray, Ida Simmons, Tom Swissler, and Mary Tyrell. And in the next few months, we had John Kaiser, Wayne Gertis, Ken Gates, George Beam, who went on to be a fairly well-known writer, and all, and then of course Ivan. And eventually, over a period of time, they met at several different places, but they eventually, because Ivan, I think, mainly, wasn't it, could get the space out of NASA Langley, we moved out there, which is where I came into the thing, because I saw the Science Fiction Club in there and called up Ivan and said, hey, when do y'all meet? And he said, come on out. Some of the stuff, just kind of events that was posted in the first issue of the Court was talking about the 1997 when Isaac Asimov visited NASA Langley. 77, sorry, 77. Where he visited the Langley Activity Center, and that's what his quote was: "The moon is merely a threshold for bigger and better accomplishments. A stepping stone to Mars, the asteroid belt, and beyond. We're still trying to get there." Okay, now, and then also George Beam said he saw Star Wars was still in Kansas, liked it, and predicts that it will become a cult object.
Huh, interesting.
And it opened here in June 29th, 1977, and then also to once again show you how long ago this was. They hadn't decided to redo Star Trek The Next Gen yet. They were just talking about it. And in 1977, July the 10th, the club visited Kelly and Polly Frias. And I guess Ivan had met them at a convention. Is that how? Won't you tell us? Because you know kind of how you got to meet Kelly.
Ned Brooks was a long-time fanzine fan, among other things. There's some discussion about the club having two mothers and a father. It was Mary and Margaret were the mothers, and the name, I'm told, Hiroshima, was originally a fictitious club that Ned wrote up in one of his fanzines.
Oh, okay.
And that's where the name originally came from. And at the first HardCon, which was the first Hiroshima convention, part of the skit that was actually led up to a point at the end about Ned was the father.
Oh, okay.
Over Margaret and Mary's objection. But Ned knew them from going to conventions for a long time. And I think Mary had met them through fanzines. But Ned organized a trip over to visit them and to have salads at the Azalea restaurant.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd never heard that story, but anyway, like I said, one of the friends of Hiroshima was Frank Kelly Frias, and Kelly was a 10-time Hugo Award winner for the best artist, and these are some of his creations. These are just the ones I could get hold of real easy when I was putting this together. But his most famous creation, the one that most people don't realize he actually did, was
Alfred E. Newman.
Alfred E. Newman.
What year was that?
I'm not sure. Do you know offhand?
Early 50s. It was the first year that Mad Magazine was published.
That was back in the 30s.
No.
50-something. It would have to be 50-something.
There was a comic book before that.
That is
Well, Mad was a comic book before that.
But the Mad Magazine came out in the 50s, I believe, or late 40s, but I think it was 50s.
It was a comic.
Yeah, well, let's go on. We'll discuss this after the fact. At the March 22nd, 1978 meeting, Ivan was elected chairman of Hiroshima's first convention, which was HardCon. And that was held, like he was saying earlier, at the July 22nd, 1978 at the NASA Langley Activity Center, and the guest of honor was Kelly Frias, and it was just a one-day convention. So Hiroshima then went on, and I guess after that they decided it was a great idea, so let's create a science fiction convention, and they created Sci-Con. And the first one was held in Hampton, I believe, wasn't it?
Hampton Holiday Inn.
So anyway, now the path to MarsCon has continued. So let's go on. If I can get it to go. There you go. And these are just some of the covers. And the guest of honors are listed below. Hopefully everybody can read them. I'm not going to read them through. I'm going to scan through this pretty quick. This is...
We were talking about, you could come up and do a couple gags,
This is Diane Scott, right here. As in the past, the Sci-Con brings out folks who are serious about costuming. A lot of thought and hard work go into some of these designs. From Gloucester, Virginia, and first up, Tracy Scott. It's a fantasy story, The Three Musketeers. Are you sure? Made up of celebrities from the worlds of science fiction and fantasy, including guest of honor Robert Asprin and an all-time favorite artist and editor Frank Kelly Freed. The judges had some tough choices, and we handed out plaques in 5 separate categories, including an award for Best in Show. Now it looks like here's your prize. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Philip Slade, one man. I guess the third time must have been the charm for Sci-Con 3. Everybody seemed to have a good time.
And most of us old-timers recognize a lot of faces there. And you can download this video if you go up and type in Dr. Mad Blood. He's got it posted, so you get it from there.
Last week?
Okay. Of course, we'll go on Sci-Con 4, Sci-Con 5, and 6. As you say, we started quickly getting some big names. Carla Nelson was guest honor for 7, and my first convention that I ran, I was actually vice chair on 7, but the first convention I ran was Sci-Con 8, and of course C.J. Cherry was the guest of honor, and then we followed up with Niven, David Brand. We had some of the bigger names guest. And I only go up to 18 because I didn't have 19 and 20. I do now. Mary and Terry brought me a copy this weekend. Now, let's follow the path to MarsCon. We had Barosta, which created Harcon, which created Sci-Con. Is that correct? And of course, next should be MarsCon. But no. Wrong. It wasn't MarsCon. We still had a long way to go. Now, MarsCon was the brainchild of these 2 young guys sitting over here, John and Chuck. And as you notice from this picture, this was a young picture, and we're trying to figure out where he's from. I believe he's from my house. And as you can tell,
that's John.
As you can tell from these pictures that these guys really liked to party when they were younger. Well, they still do a little bit, but not quite as bad now. So now everybody threw a party at conventions. That's, you can see, and Jack has his, and they have different ones. Well, they wanted their party to be a little different. So what they did was they created a fake WorldCon bid.
Fake?
And if you really think we're going to get to Mars in 2095 and have a WorldCon, yeah.
Success oriented.
So, but the highlight of their parties were cherries. Not just your normal cherries. They were Martian cherries. And what were Martian cherries? Martian cherries. They were cherries marinated in 151 rum for about 3 months, or other stuff too. I don't know what y'all used.
Frequently Everclear. Frequently Everclear.
Oh, Everclear? Yeah.
I have that bar guide.
Obviously, we don't do this anymore, although I keep trying to talk him into doing it for just one time. Oh, you did? Somebody made one? Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Wish they told me I'd like to have at least one, and that'd been all I want.
The ones I brought last night were mushy.
Which we used to eat them by the handful.
I brought some that were put down in '89.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, their parties were successful. You had 2 young guys, all the girls came, they had lots of alcohol, and everything was going really good, so everybody showed up and they had a great time.
That's all that matters.
So, and the year was 1989, and they decided they would start their own convention. It was going to be a Relaxicon. They found this wonderful hotel in the oceanfront with a swamp car, and you'll see some pictures of it in a few minutes, and they wanted to call their con MarsCon, right? No, they called it HarCon 2. Why did they call it HarCon 2? Well, because when they came up with the idea, they decided to get Hiroshima to fund them some money to help them do it. So that was why they had to call it HarCon 2.
We were sucking up.
I am always ready with an answer. Well, introduce what this thing is. Come on. Oh.
The Conquering Hero, ladies and
The
gentlemen.
following is a true documentary. You may not believe it, but it actually happened. We're here to tell you about HarCon 2, happening in Virginia Beach in Ramada Inn, 57th and Atlantic. Don't take this.
Oh, by the way, I am recording. I don't know how to stop it. It's a salami sandwich and it's a ham sandwich. I'm happy. Oh, by the way, tell Debbie that she's on candid camera. What she did, she sneaked up and throw open hotel rooms. Hotel doors, you know? Hi. Yeah, they were all point that at me. You? Yes. You go to the parties and appeal. Yeah, men parties. That's what that's the bill I have to read in past for.
Yeah, okay, I know about that. Mine was on.
Very chilly costume presentation.
Notice everybody else is all done up, and Ivan has the t-shirt.
Well, I mean, I was just trying to...
Well, 2 feet tall, 20 feet tall.
Yeah, we used to play with models like that.
Level 2, right here. Yeah.
Look closely, and you'll see Robert McMath and Elliot.
Not me.
There's Robert.
Well, if you take
What, money you can borrow?
Playing cosplay now.
There's John.
It's not going to be hard to find this here.
John.
you gotta cleanse the copyright on those
Glasses were black and white version.
And the highlight of the convention.
Every convention needs a swamp.
And Marcy. Tommy Lee. Tom Honeycutt.
Says the con director on Saturday night.
Looking very
Looks fine, doesn't he, people?
So if you recognized yourself in the video, some of you may have, raise your hand.
If you recognize yourself in that video, it means you're old.
Well, yeah.
My horizons had already started broadening.
John, you were a baby.
So, Archon 2 was a success and everyone had a good time. So John and Chuck wanted to do something separate from Sci-Con and Rosefest, so they took their old party name and fake Worldcon bit it, and they created MarsCon. Now, so that makes the path to MarsCon this way. It was a Rosefest, to Archon, to Sci-Con, to Mars in 2095, to Archon 2, and finally we get to MarsCon. So this was the first MarsCon. John and Chuck, they had the perfect plan. You know, the MarsCon had been a success. They thought, well, we can do it. And they failed the big time. Now, first of all, what went wrong? First of all, they moved their convention to Hampton from the hotel they had the year before. And that was where it started, because that was the one that really ended up costing them. There was a rock concert, there was low attendance, there was too many staff. And the rock concert, everything got, and then of course the hotel was hungry for money, so they kind of took everything they could from the young guys, and everything went wrong, and it was blamed on the con. And I guess it was over $2,000 that Chuck ended up putting on his credit card, and well, he was a college student at the time, and that was not, and $2,000 in '90 was a whole lot of money. More, you know, it's a lot of money now, so. So MarsCon was dead, or at least that's what everyone thought. Well, what happened was MarsCon was revived because John and Chuck overheard a rumor that myself and another individual who is not here, and I will maybe not mention his name, I can, Philip, was talking about reviving it. And it's not that they didn't like Philip, they just didn't want Philip to be in charge of the convention. So they went out and they got a bunch of us together, and they invited me because they liked me and thought I could do a good job because I had some experience with the other con, and we all put together some money, $10 a month, $120 a year, and we had like 12 people, I guess it was, and we raised enough money that we could do a convention. And anyway, MarsCon 92 was a success, and we even saved a little bit of money, but true to form for MarsCon, we hit another snag, and MarsCon 93 almost didn't happen. And why? It was because, you know, everybody took their money out after the con. We had not made money, but we made a little bit of money, but not much, you know. Everybody took their money out. So the only people who kept their money in was myself, Robert, who I know was in the audience a few minutes ago. Robert, stand up if you're here. Now, he was here a few minutes ago. And Kim Pollard. Kim, just raise your hand. Well, Kim, she left her money in, but she didn't want to be involved with running the con. But oh, surprise, surprise! She told me last night she's ready to come back after about what? How many years? 20 years. So anyway, that just left me and Robert wanting to run the con. So we held another one in Virginia Beach in '93. It was a minor success. You know, we made money, but it was kind of rough driving from here to Virginia Beach. So what did we do? We decided we wanted to move it to Williamsburg. Now, I had heard from John Kaiser and Ivan and a whole bunch of other people that a con could never survive if it wasn't held in Virginia Beach. And so we took the gamble, because MarsCon 90, well, of course, it was a bust. WhamCon was another convention that Debbie Taylor ran, and it was definitely a bust. And the first two Sci-Cons really almost didn't survive, and when they got down to Virginia Beach was when they kicked in and went full blast. So we decided we were going to do it anyway because we were tired of moving to Virginia Beach. So we looked all around at hotels, and we ended up going to this hotel, the Fort Magruder in Williamsburg. And that's their lobby. And we walked into that lobby, me and Robert, and says, ain't no way they're going to talk to us. First thing they did was we got hold of a woman called Liz Chambers, and she said, oh yeah, we can do it, no problem. So we got us a hotel, and we were happy. So MarsCon 94 came around, but there was a little, we call it DarkCon, because there was a little problem.
Uh-oh.
And that little problem was ice. A big ice storm. And so only 90 people showed up. And we lost power, and the hotel had to give us candles to see. But it was so much fun that when they finally got the power back, we just kept the lights off and did the candles in the con suite and had a great time. So it got us started, and we survived that year. We did do some things right. We survived the budget-wise, and those who attended us had a great time. It was also my cohort in crime, John Wade. That was his first con, and he's been coming ever since. And then Robert was able to recruit Marcy and Mary Beth to do our con suite. And later, Marcy recruited her sister. So we had this great group. But then MarsCon 95 came around at the same hotel, and we nicknamed this one Don't Be a Marcy. Why? So what happened to Marcy? She's a knife.
Oh.
And that's pretty close to the knife. I don't think it's the same knife. She stuck a knife in her foot.
I didn't do it deliberately. Somebody put a towel over it.
She had an open face shoe, and it hit perfect. I mean, she was rushed to the emergency room. And how long was you on crutches after that?
I was on crutches for 4 weeks. It partially severed the tendon.
Oh, ouch.
I had 8 stitches in a cut that was a ½ inch long.
So she sat on the couch the whole weekend long, and a little bit of pain, but not much, because she was really drugged up.
I remember part of Friday night, and that's the last thing I remember.
But she was still very active in keeping things moving.
Yeah, but anyway, this led to more problems after that convention. What happened? Well, that nice young woman, that Liz Chambers, that helped us, that she didn't want anything to do with us. The new person didn't, at least. She left. She went over to the George Washington Inn. And so here it was, 2 years after moving to Williamsburg, and we didn't have a hotel. So we had to go looking again. So first thing I did was I called up. And so, of course, MarsCon was dead once again. Or at least that's what I was afraid of, because here it was, I moved it to Williamsburg, and we ain't going to make it. So that led us to the George Washington Inn. I walked in, she said, Liz, can we come here? And she said, I can give you $35 room nights, or they can sit empty. And I said, hell yeah, sign me that. So we went on to MarsCon 96, and this is the year that we decided MarsCon wasn't going to die. We had finally successfully maybe made it. We would have problems. We had a snowstorm. Okay, now this wasn't just your typical snowstorm. This was over 3 feet of snow in the Virginia mountains. And it was people calling me up saying, okay, it's coming in on Friday night or Friday. I'm going to get there Thursday. And I know Bud did that, and I know that Bruce, raise your hand. I didn't expect them to come. They live in Luray. So I didn't expect them to show up. Well, Saturday morning, they showed up. Or Saturday afternoon. They had got up on Saturday morning after they cleared the roads, and they cleared out their driveway, and him and the kids ended up driving all the way down here to come to the con. So I knew then that MarsCon had kind of reached a pinnacle that we might be able to keep this going. So anyway, MarsCon 97 was the first appearance of the Women of the Women's.
That's all you need to know. Ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies. That's all you need to know. There's a...
And that was another step, because we started having our Saturday night entertainment. And they were 2 young, attractive, I don't have a picture of them, but they were 2 young, attractive women. And when they first came, of course, they dressed in low, enticing bodices, and they had a great time. So we were there. So MarsCon 98, I'm going to skip through these pictures, 99, 2000, and we come to 2001. And this is where the young lady beside me saved the con. We had decided that this was going to be the last MarsCon. I had burned out. Bev's parents was going through a lot of stuff. We were spending a whole lot of time, and I was just totally wiped. Marcy and Carol and Mary Beth was still right on the edge about whether she wanted to help, but we decided, had a meeting, decided we're going to end it. We're just going to go off on a high note. because we had a good attendance at that time. There were about 400 people, 300 people, something like that. So, but about a month later, you know, like I said, I thought MarsCon was dead. But about a month later, or at least, like I said, at least that's what I thought, and I had a little visit from Michelle, who said, "I'll run it." I says, "Okay, I'll have a break." So for about 4 years, I didn't really do anything with MarsCon other than me and like, "Butch, how do you do this? What did you do?" But Michelle took it over, and she ran 2002, and I think it was 2003.
And I started 2004.
And then you, what, moved?
Well, no, I was doing 2004, and then work sent me to Alabama, and I was traveling there 3 weeks a month, so that's when Bob finished.
Okay, so Bob took over for 2004, and then Bob took over and ran 2005.
Dum dum dum.
Now, 2005 was the first appearance of
The Hobbits.
Coyote Run.
Literature music.
Woohoo!
I danced at the belting with the pole standing tall, the ribbons flowing round the dancers all. I danced in the sunlight at the midsummer feast, the day dawned pink in the summer's east. Oh, dance, dance, wherever you may be, I am the Lord of the dance, said he, and I'll lead you all, wherever you may be, and I'll lead you all in the dance, said he. When the harvest arrived and the fields shone in gold.
But this was also the year that Bob put it at the hotel timed out.
Yep.
What they ended up doing, and so MarsCon was dead again, we thought, because, well, actually, no one actually thought that, because what happened was they decided we could have all our function space, but we couldn't have any sleeping rooms.
Yeah.
And they moved us all over the place. We ended up with, Bob, I think, eventually got 10 sleeping rooms, but we had the military in there, and we were talking about all this last night, so I won't go into details, but it was like, we wanted out of that place. And this was after, you know, how many years was it now? We'd been there almost 10 years and shown really great. We put up with the hotel going downhill and not getting worked on. So anyway, that led us to the Holiday Inn Patriot. We looked all over the place. We looked all over the place for a hotel, and actually I think it was several people suggested it, but I think Dave from Coyote Run said, maybe you want to look at this place, it's got some good function space. So we came here, and it was under a previous owner at that time. So here it was, it got sold. So we always having problems, it seems like. And all the staff was leaving. Everybody that I had worked with in that first year, we had worked with, because I think it was actually Dave Sheldon actually ran the con, but I was hotel liaison, because that's how I got back involved. When they got kicked out of the other hotel, I decided I'll come back and help them out now, because I knew that I had had experience searching for hotels and dealing with hotels. I decided I would go ahead and help them find a hotel. So we did a lot of searching and looking, and then we came here. But no hotel wanted us after it was sold. We went to a couple of hotels and looked around. There was nothing big enough, and they didn't really want us, some of them. And one of them we went to. That was back when they had a different type of atmosphere at the Fort Magruder. They didn't want us at all. And so, and everybody who was in that meeting felt the same way. So, once again, we were stuck here. And anybody who knows anything about hotels in this area, let me explain why we wanted to move. There is a lot of Pakistanians and foreign individuals that will come and buy hotels, and a lot of them don't have any background at all in running hotels. Mr. Kiani, it turns out, did. He didn't have a full function hotel like this, but he had run hotels all his family had all their life, so he had background. And some of these people that, you know, a lot of them will change their names to Patel. Patel is not their actual name. Patel means inn owner. So that's why if you see somebody that's an owner of a hotel, his last name is Patel, he's not a Patel. He might have been Kiani, it might have been something else, I'm not sure, but they changed it to Patel. And so there's a lot of ones in this area that they went under when some of the Patels took over. So the hotel no one really wanted this, so really how did that work out? Well, until this year, after this year, we're still here. And so it really has been, thing. This is just a kind of a quick list of the people who have been MarsCon guests up till last year. You'll see a lot of not going to go over all of them. Of course. So 2007, that was the year that actually the con started changing. It kind of changed a little bit in 2006, but 2007 was really the year the con changed. And that was when our guest of honor was supposed to have been John Ringo. He didn't show up. And the reason he didn't show up was because he got snowed in and out on a tour, so it wasn't really his fault. The next year, we found out that Catherine Curtis lives up in the mountains of Virginia now. And anyway, we continued to grow. We had Robert Rubin, and then finally got Ringo back, and I won't go into all my Ringo stories. Then, of course, we had David Weber, great guest, wonderful guest. And then, of course, 2011, we had Jim Butcher, and we went over the top. That was, and so now, MarsCon 2012 was the end of MarsCon as we know it. And MarsCon the future. Now, I know a lot of y'all wanting to know about the new hotel. We're going to go back to the Fort Magruder Inn in Williamsburg. The Fort Magruder is actually built on it's actually Crowne Plaza, but it's actually built on top of a Civil War battlefield. And so if you go out in through the center of you'll see all the the earthworks and stuff they were built, and they have a lot of display in the front of the hotel with a lot of the relics that they dug up when they were doing the work for it. These are just some of the pictures. You've seen the lobby pictures. The one down on the corner is the restaurant picture, and this is the outside, some of the things. These are all downloaded from the website. This is the one good thing. They have a built-in stage.
Wow.
And that's just, that room splits into 3 separate rooms. So we have lots of programming space there. This is one corner of the ballroom, the big ballroom, which we will use as probably our dealer's room. It's bigger, wider, has a lot of other space. This is another picture of it. The one thing that I think I've got a picture of it to really show it to you, but at least in the dealer's room, it'll be good for the dealers because they have a roll-up door, and you can load in from that door. So you can, just come in and roll. They won't have to go out and come through the hallways and all that. They can just come into the actual space that they're going to be, unload real quick, and the next person can line up and go in. This is the Lincoln boardroom. We'll probably use that. That's going to be a room that I don't want to get damaged, so we'll probably use it for writers' workshops and stuff.
D&D? As opposed to the rooms we wanted down.
Well, that's what, and we also have the amphitheater for some of that kind of stuff. They have a building desk and all and this actually can split into 2 rooms. So we have this, if we need to put major work. 2 pictures of that. This is just pictures of their rooms, regular rooms.
And booked.
Now this one is a picture of their ballrooms. This is the one up in the corner to the left. That is the, I think that's one of the, they have what they call the executive suites. And if you look at the one in your right there, they have, that's the executive suite, and then of course you have going the other room is the bedroom, and it's quite big. The con suites and their suites are just ridiculously, wonderful. I mean, big. And we got several of them, and I'll tell you. And then of course they have an indoor pool, which you can see down on the corner. But that is, now, people are going to ask me, what is it going to mean? Well, the reason, when we walked in, we got recruited by them. We did not go out and actually hunt the place, hunt them down. They actually came to us. They called us twice, and Bob said, go ahead and, email Butch. He's taking care of this. So she emailed me, and when we looked at the name, it was someone that Bev had worked with. Bev had worked at this hotel for a while, about 2.5 years. So I was familiar with the hotel, and a lot of us had toured it already several times. So I went there, and I walked in. The first thing I walked into him, and I said, listen, I got a hotel. I got a great owner. I don't need you unless you give me, and I told him exactly what I wanted. I said, I need every single bit of space you got. And that's, and I told them to go for it, and they went for it. They're going to give us the exact same room rate that we got here.
Woo!
They went even further. The fans probably will not get them because we're going to scarf them up. But they're going to give us 2 of those executive 2-room suites. They're going to give 2 of them to us for $59 a night.
Wow.
They also have a mini, what they call a mini suite. It's a 2-room suite, but it's just a little smaller. They're going to give it to us, those rooms, for $59 a night. They're also going to give us one of the hospitality rooms for $59 a night.
Good deal.
Now, the other hospitality, they have a total of 3 hospitality rooms, and they're even willing to do some things. We got lots of plans, you'll find out. But this just shows you why we're going to move. We're not moving because we disappointed this place, but it's like we can't drop this opportunity. They're going to give us the other rooms. You can get a hospitality, one of those hospitality, or one of the executive suites. You can get those also if you want to get them for $150 a night. So for people like, well, Jack, who already gets 2 rooms, he only has to pay a little bit more, and he has this really, because it has a bar, already built in and everything. It's just, as long as he doesn't get too bad. Oh, he just head out that way.
No, he waved.
Oh, he waved. But there is some really, excellent rooms there, and because of that, because they're not really going to charge us a whole lot, we don't have to raise the con rates next year. So we will continue to be at $40. At this time, I don't think we're going to have to, because I think that, well, with Calvary Run unfortunately coming off the budget, that saves us some more money, and there'll be a few other things that will change next year. So, like I said, we could not drop this opportunity. There is, there's only one problem. This is the only problem. I hope you're in good shape, but we're going to come up for those people who are not in good shape. We're going to come up with a way, because I didn't do the layout on it up here, but there's a lot of walking. But it will result in the gamers will be off all by themselves in one end of the hotel. All the major function space will be down on the other area. And some people look at it as a problem, but I think that what will happen is that because the con suite's going to be bigger and there's going to be more space to
Thank God.
You won't be going to the con suite and saying, running and getting out of there because it's so crowded you can't move. You'll be able to sit down and actually enjoy sitting around in the con suite and talking to people. If not, you can just go out the door, and there's going to be one corner that's going to have nice couches and chairs and stuff. So we think that that's going to work out really well, and there's going to be some adjustments. It's not going to be you know, there's going to be some changes. We're going to have to be more careful probably with a couple of things like drinking out in the middle of the hallways, but I think we can control some of that, so we got no problems. I'm looking straight at you. No, actually, I should be looking at the person who left. But, you got a question?
Smoking?
It is a totally non-smoking hotel. There's no smoking rooms. But the one thing about this, the one thing also about this is every single room has a balcony or a deck, so you can just walk out, you know, and close your door and smoke and there's a lot of smoking areas, so that will not be, you know, for the smokers that will not be a problem, but it is a totally non-smoking hotel.
Also, I was at a conference there very recently. The way the hotel is laid out, it's the front and then two arms where the function space are. In between those two arms in the back hotel is a very nice courtyard, and you can get to it very easy from all the function space, and you can go out there and smoke. It's really nice. There's nice places to sit. There's multiple patios. It's just a really nice place to go out and relax. There's lots of ways, easy ways to get outside and smoke in a nice, comfortable environment.
I don't know. They did not say anything about that. As far as I know, all the corkage problem, you know, drinking, as long as it's in your private room.
Some of the crowds have been bad about it.
Oh, okay.
Might want to double check that before you bring in Jack.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much, like I said, that's pretty much it. I got about 5 more minutes. I can ask a couple questions, answer a couple questions. Yeah, Bruce.
How about the ownership? Is it pretty well established? Are they all right?
They are. First of all, you notice they called us up and then tried to chase us. They need the business. I mean, that's obvious. That means everybody needs it now. I have heard rumors that they're under financial problems, but I don't. I talked to the salesperson just recently, and she said that they were about $500,000 over what they needed already for this coming year. So I think they did have a new owner, our new management company that has started putting money into upgrading the Wi-Fi. I think what it is if they don't put a little bit of money into it, they'll lose their flag of Crowne Plaza, which they don't want to do. But the hotel, if you get a chance, you know, to look at it, you'll see it's still in really good shape overall. I mean, any hotel is going to have 1 or 2 rooms, but they have 400 parking spaces, over 400 parking spaces. They have over 300 rooms, so everybody can stay in the hotel. You don't have to go next door to the, I won't say what it is.
Go ahead.
Crack hotel. But anyway, you don't have to go next door and all that. So anyway.
What, if anything, is going to happen with the weapons policy?
I think we can probably get the same weapons policy. It's as long as you know, are careful. I mean, every hotel is going to have that problem. I mean, you're just going to have to do what we've done this year, and I don't think they'll have any problems. As you pull it out and start flinging it around, I'm going to pull you and send you away here. So I don't think that's a problem.
Again, they hold a lot of historical conferences there and a lot of reenactors and stuff with weapons. So the hotel doesn't have a problem with it as long as it's handled, as Butch said, very responsibly.
Yeah, I mean, they just had a military history weekend. You know they had weapons. So, yeah. So, I mean, they have slacked the rules when we... Yeah, go ahead.
How soon can we go ahead and register for the hotel?
Okay, they said they would not take it about a year, more than a year out. So that means in about, we already have a signed contract, by the way. And I think that would probably be, we're going to be, what, 18th to 19th and 20th, I believe, are the days. I have to go back and check. I think that's the date I got them signed for. So I'd say about a week and a half, you can call them up. Yeah. We have a room block, so next year, and all this will be posted on the website. Yes, Bev?
They have 10 pet rooms They have 10 pet rooms.
Yeah, they have 10 pet rooms. They do also work well with the Heritage Humane Society, so we'll be able to continue that by bringing pets in. Yeah, so they have lots of handicap rooms, which is right smack dab in the middle of the hotel. So it'll be easy for you to get down to the other the areas, especially if you have problems. There's a lot of seats in between there, and then we have actually talked about, for the people who may have some problems because of the long distance, of actually renting a couple of scooters and stuff for people to get, or creating a wheelchair group. If you need somebody, you call up the front, call up the people at registration, and they'll send somebody with a wheelchair to push you through and drop you off, so you don't have to walk as far. So we thought of all these things. We started this the last year at I guess it was when was it? I guess it was late. It was about a month or so after the con when they called us, and I went and interviewed or looked at them at 2 months, and then after I got that deal, we brought the whole staff, and we all walked through it and toured it and looked at it, and we talked about everything we could think of that would be a difference between here and there. I mean, it's just unfortunate. I mean, we're going to be some changes, and you realize that, but it far outweighs the advantages are more than the anyway.
Just the extra space.